straight into the air raid shelter because the Germans started coming over just as it was getting dark.
Welcome to Market Lavington. Market Lavington is located on the northern edge of Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire, England, 5 miles south of the market town of Devizes.
The Home Guard and all that, very well, because at that sort of time we had the prisoners of war, sort of from the German side of it, Italians, living quite local to us. So other than that, the community was, very, very good, actually. Everybody helped everyone else out,
Yeah, it was
especially with the food and everything like that.
The community carried on their daily work, except at night, in the evening. When the siren went off, they gathered in little knots of men, mainly, in the back gardens, watching the skies, watching the horizon. We see the glow of the fires beginning to light up the sky. It was all strange to us, but we just classed it as somebody got a big bonfire just down the road, but it wasn't. It was a whole city alight kind of thing. It was wonderment more than anything. No fear, just wonderment of this colour. That was it when we were laid out with the dads at the time.
Market Lavington was referred to as Lavington in the Domesday Book, which is the earliest written reference to the village. The name changed several times over the years, changing from Steeple Lavington and East Lavington amongst them. The parish is about 5 miles long and a mile wide, a lot of this area being here at Salisbury Plain. Salisbury Plain was and still is a huge army base, training new recruits at present and massively during the First and Second World War. To this day there are buildings and vehicles from both wars on the edge of Salisbury Plain that can be easily seen. I'll be going round the different streets with Michael Bedford, the chairman of Market Lavington Museum, to discover some of the background of the men, women, children and evacuees in the Second World War. Alongside this, learning about the individual experiences of those who were only kids when this war was going on.
The book I'm looking at the moment is by a lady called Sybil Perry.
Sybil Perry, yeah.
Yeah, she moved into the village in 1924 when she was a couple of years old.
Yeah.
And she's written a history, or her history of the village, of her growing up, and drawn lots of pictures and done lots of articles so that it helps people keep the historic perspective of Market Lavington.
Yeah.
We can have a look through that. We can also have a look at stuff Peggy Jai did, because during World War II there was lots of children from London evacuated to Market Lavington Museum, but her family had been in the village for a few hundred years, and she had a real penchant and passion for the history just of Market Lavington and Easterton. Nothing can be added to the museum that has nothing to do with those two areas, and explore the aspect of living in a farming environment and rural area, which is very different from today, where you had 2 or 3 buses a year, probably back then, but now we get 1 a day maybe, or 2 a day. Back then Market Lavington was more of a market town.
Yes, because I know it was market town, but it was changed over the years from East Lavington, it was called.
There's a few,
but I definitely knew East Lavington was called.
Yeah.
And back to the rural part, I found out there was a potato farm in Warrington Field, which is now used for a sport athletics track.
Yes, and you had down at the entrance to the village a brick making works, which produced lots of bricks used in Market Lavington and around Wiltshire.
Yeah.
And in Easterton you had the jam factory.
Jam factory, I knew this one. Yeah.
And if you look over there, you can see back in the 70s how many shops there were. Prior to that, in the Second World War, there was a lot more shops. There was 5 pubs, there was 2 butchers, there was a couple of grocery stores, there was a baker, post office,
A lot.
We had everything here. A couple of banks, but there was a photographer there, and he took lots of the pictures from the village through from the early 1900s, and then passed on to his son, who carried on through 30s, 40s and 50s, and then Richard Hale took it in the 80s, I think. So Richard lives in next to St Albans.
What I particularly like the sound of is the evacuees part of the village. I wondered if we could go to one of the places where they used to live.
I know Peggy had some in, and she lived down White Street.
Not too bad. I was very young then. It was about, I was on to start of it, we were only about 6. About 20 end, I was about 11. It makes a lot of difference. And as I say, it was scary at times. I did get covered in ceiling a sort of plaster once when the bomb got dropped quite very close, which scared me actually, because I'm covered in ceiling, sort of the plaster off the ceiling. But that was, I was about, I should say, about 8 then. But other than that, there was a lot of sort of bombs dropped locally, because they were sort of following the railway line, which bypassed where I lived. The railway line then was from west right up to London. And of course, with the dual bugs and all that around, they all used to have to sort of listen to them going over, and sort of if their engines cut, it just that was it. So next minute you hear the big explosion.
One night, at 2 in the morning, pitch black as usual, and the siren went, and then a couple of bombs dropped on our little town, and Mum and Dad got out of bed. They were downstairs calling us to get out of bed and come downstairs to get in the steel shelter under the table. We thought, me and my younger brother came out together, and we thought that my elder sister was already downstairs, but she wasn't. She was behind us. My younger brother turned and said, shouted in my ear at the same time he was jumping from the top of the stairs onto my back. There's a tiger in the house. Where he got this tiger from, I should never know. But we all ended up, 3 of us, in a heap at the bottom of the stairs. No injuries, just... It was just a nightmare, that's all. I got a good idea for jumping. My brother got a good idea, and so did she. So we're all love and war.
The lady's book we were looking at earlier, Sylvia Perry. She lived there in Broadwell House, and became a school teacher in the 40s, and taught at the old school. And so she talked about evacuees being her teaching them at the old school in the primary school.
Newsagent. It was Keith Davis.
That's right, only closed a couple of years ago.
Yes, he had. I found something the other day. He had the same initials on a World War II kit bag.
It probably might have been his dad's. It wouldn't have been his.
No,
but it could have been his dad's. Definitely, that was found down Parsonage Lane, wasn't it?
It was Parsonage Lane, which is not too far
just
away.
down the road. Yeah. One of the shops we just passed was the cobbler as well, Ken. Who was the cobbler during the Second World War, and there's bits in the museum about him downstairs. During the 40s, we had a cobbler's in the village. It was run by Mr. Goddard until 1953, and then was taken over by Ken Munday. So right up until the 70s, Margaret Lavington had a cobbler within the village. And she had evacuees live with her during the Second World War. So she looked after them, and they grew up here, and when the war finished, I don't know whether they stayed or went.
From, I think, London.
Primarily from London.
because some of them, I don't think it was Peggy as such, but like some of them were from London to Chippenham,
Yeah.
and then came to Michael.
It came to Michael Lavington from Chippenham.
We had a evacuee living with us from London herself. I think she come about when I was about 7, and we grew up together. But as soon as the war finished, they sort of they went back, and we didn't hear of any since.